Good morning, everybody, and you're very welcome to this morning's live. Now, we're continuing our theme of home organisation and decluttering. And this morning, what we're going to be looking at is the KonMarie Method. So that's Marie Kondo's method of decluttering, of tidying up your home, of figuring out what sparks joy for you and just keeping your home organised. So I'm absolutely delighted to be joined this morning by Jen Lawlor from My Little Wonderful. Jen is a KonMarie Consultant and an absolute expert at all of this. She's got 3 boys herself, super organised. So she's going to be sharing with us how to implement the KonMarie Method at home yourself. And also she's going to be giving us a demonstration on Marie Kondo's way of folding clothes to help you maximise the storage space that you have. Because for so many people, you know, it's space that's the issue. It's storage space. It's trying to find space to put all the things that we have. So the combination of this fabulous way of decluttering, of getting rid, first of all the things that you really don't need, and then this super clever way of storing everything so that you absolutely make the most of the space you have, whatever that space may be. So just to remind you all as well that we have our storage ebook. I know loads of you have downloaded it and we've gotten lovely messages about you know, how helpful you're finding it. But anybody who hasn't, you'll find the link to download that in our bio. So please go ahead and do that. So I see Jen is there. I'm going to invite her now to join. And I hope some of you have a top. Oh, good morning, Jen. How are you?
Hi, Denise. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, very good, very good. Well, I was just about to say to everybody, I hope they have a top or something that they can practice along with us, because you're going to be giving us a demonstration on how to do it properly, which would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Jen, thank you so much. You know, I was just sort of explaining briefly in the intro there that you're a KonMarie consultant. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be, how you became a KonMarie consultant, what that involved?
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Well, I suppose I always loved organizing and decluttering. It was kind of something I got into years and years ago. I actually got a book. It's possibly 20 years old now. About, it was called, I actually have it here. It's called Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui. So I read that. I was living in an apartment at the time. So I decluttered our entire apartment when I finished the book. And just felt so good afterwards. I felt so much lighter and happier, and just really was amazing when I'd finished. So from that, I just really loved organizing. It was just kind of became a passion. I loved decluttering. I loved organizing. And yeah, then probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I got Marie Kondo's book. And so I hope it's okay to show these.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And then that's Marie Kondo's one. So I actually got a gift of this one, because the person who gave it to me knew I loved organizing. And when I finished this one, I just loved the method. I loved how simple it was. I loved that there was a start, a middle, an end to the process. You know, when you finish, that everything was decluttered, that you knew where absolutely everything was, that you had a place for everything. Everything had a home to go back to. So I just thought I loved it when I finished. And there was a folding technique in it as well, that I thought sounded really, really interesting, because at that time I had two young boys and then an older boy, and just clothes were getting flung in different areas of the wardrobes and drawers, and everything was just so messy. So I went and tackled that. I went to our drawers and just KonMari'd all the items in there. Before that, I actually started with my clothes. So I did the first category, which is clothes, using the method, and decluttered, and then organized them with the vertical folding technique. And when I'd finished that, I just found that everything was so easy to access. It was really, you could see everything at a glance. You could put everything back really easily. So because of that, I just said, okay, I'm just going to do the other 4 categories now, and
yeah,
KonMari my whole home.
no, but it's amazing, Jen, because like I wrote about it in our blog yesterday, and I again, it was a friend actually lent me the book, and she sort of said, Denise, you don't need to read it, but I think you'll like it. And I tried it out, and it's so simple to use. And you're absolutely right, there is a method to follow, which I suppose makes it easier. But it's what I found was it's so much easier for everybody to find everything, and suddenly everything has a place, and it just makes keeping things organized so much easier. So you had to train then to become a consultant, did you?
Yes, yeah. So it was actually my husband David who saw a course to train to be a certified consultant. And he said, you'd love this, Jen. This is something that is made for you. So I signed up to the course. And then a couple of months later, I went to London for 3 days where I trained with Marie Kondo and her team. And there was probably about 90 consultants in training.
Wow.
So we all trained. There was people from all over the world. It was just such a lovely weekend. You get to meet so many different people. People I still stay in touch with, and it was just great. We learned them in depth about the method. So we had a great weekend, and when I came back home, I continued my training then. So the next step was to do 6 months practical work with 3 clients. And then after that, there was an exam. And then after I completed the exam, there was an interview. And then once I completed all of that, I became a fully certified consultant, and I was listed on the website. Yeah,
it's amazing. No, wow. So it really is an in-depth thing. And actually, just for everybody, your website is My Little Wonderful, and you can, people can find details about it there. And your fabulous blog with so much information for keeping families in particular organized. So yeah, everybody, please do visit that, because there's so many wonderful articles there too. So Jen, look, I'm sure everybody's keen to hear about it. So if we just talk about the method then, and advice for people. And I suppose Marie's tip is the first step really is starting with decluttering. So what advice would you have for people there?
Yes, well, yeah, exactly. The first step before you start to organize anything, you need to declutter. So when you declutter, the point of decluttering is not just to discard things. It's actually to keep the things you love. That's the main process behind the method. So when you go through your items, you actually have to pick up every single thing, which sounds a bit, how can I pick up every single thing in my house? But you're going through it in categories. So, when you're doing the clothes, you start with that, and it's broken down. So you start with your clothes, and you pick up every single item to see if you want to discard it or if you want to keep it. Marie Kondo says that if you pick up an item, it has to spark joy. And this is a kind of a feeling that I suppose you get. It's hard to describe, because everybody, you have to feel if something sparks joy to you. But for me, it's like a kind of a lift that you feel in your body, and you just kind of feel a bit lighter. And the same thing happens with things that you want to discard. So if something isn't something you want to keep, you actually feel a bit heavy when you pick it up. So once you kind of nail that, the spark joy feeling, you can really work quite quickly through your clothing. There can be times when something that you pick up you're not sure about, you don't know if it sparks joy or not. And actually, at the very beginning of the process, you do a kind of a vision for what you want your future life to look like, and for items of clothing that, where you're kind of unsure, does it spark joy, does it not? You can go back to that vision of the life you want to lead once you've decluttered your entire home. So on my vision board, I had things like I want to wake up early in the morning and have a coffee before everyone wakes up, in a really clean, uncluttered, calm home. In the evenings, I want to drink a cup of herbal tea before bed and read a book or watch a program on TV. Again, in a tidy, organized space. So that kind of motivates you then to kind of decide, okay, do I want to keep this, or does it go in the discard pile? And it's just a helpful thing to kind of keep you on track and to motivate you. So yeah, the spark joy, another way to kind of, I guess, to tell if an item sparks joy, or if you're finding it hard to tell if it does, is to pick up, if in the clothing category, if you pick up 2 or 3 items that you know you absolutely love. You might love the color of them, the feel of the material, the texture, and pick it up, hold it, and whatever you feel, that's the spark joy feeling.
Yeah, amazing. And I know myself, like it's very, I find it very easy to do it with, say, the kids' stuff or my husband's stuff, but it's when it comes to your own stuff that's where it's very difficult to start, you know, getting rid of things, I suppose. And like, is there any other advice? Because I know that with a lot of people, just letting go of things, especially say things that with clothes, you may never have worn them, but maybe somebody very special to you has given it to you, like your mum or your sister or something like that. So you don't want to get rid of it, or you got it as a gift. So what's your advice for those kind of items?
I know you don't regret giving anything
away. Or you just feel
bad
because somebody gave it to you, but you know, you're never going to wear it really. So I know that can be quite tricky for people.
It is, yeah. It just, I suppose you know, when you have an item that sparks joy and you know that feeling, it kind of takes the guilt away, because you're just so sure. You have to trust yourself that this is not something that is going to make my life better.
Well, maybe re-gift it or something like that, I suppose. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, then there's, when you do discard, there's a lot of things that you know, you can re-gift, you can sell on, you can, you know, obviously you have the charity banks that take things and sustainably discard as well. I often think, you know, clothes that are they could be torn or stained, or you know, you wouldn't obviously give those to the charity banks. So you can give those to, there is places that take clothing like that, you know, to use as stuffing for furniture, or even animal shelter.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, you can look up and see somewhere that would take those things. So there's really very little that goes out in the bin after you discard.
And I know my mum started she started making masks from things she didn't want anymore and things like that. And then there's lots of boys in our family, so a lot of my older son's stuff, you know, I'd pass on to my sister's children and things like that. So yeah, there's definitely lots of ways to get rid of things. No, that's brilliant.
And it's good too to make a plan before you start, because I think if you just start and you have these mounds of like, okay, they're items to discard, it's kind of another, you know, it just pulls at your headspace if you have to decide, okay, now what do I do? Where exactly. Like you said, if you have a plan, like, okay, this is the re-gifting pile, this is the you know, this goes to the charity bank and so on.
Brilliant, great. And so you touched on this, but I suppose one of the biggest things then that Marie Kondo advocates is not just sort of going at a room, you know, so I'll go and declutter the kitchen. It's that you declutter in categories. So if you were to start with, for example, clothes, you would do all the clothes all over the house and then you move on. So what's the reason behind that, Jen? Why is that a better way to approach it, I suppose?
Okay. Well, I suppose take clothing again, for example. Clothing can be everywhere. It can be under your stairs. It can be in your boot. Like I have jackets sometimes thrown in the boot. You know, just every item can be dispersed everywhere around the house. When you collect up every single item that you own in every single area of your home, like seasonal clothes, even items up in the attic, you know, ski wear, whatever it is, put it all together in one place. When you see that pile of clothing, if you're unsure about giving anything away, you nearly look at it and go, oh, I can definitely give stuff away. I have so much stuff, you know. People think, sometimes I ask clients like think of the amount of stuff you actually have, and they guess a number, and it can be 3 times that number. You just don't realize how much you have. So so that's really, I suppose, piling everything up in one place. And a bed is actually a really good place to do the decluttering on clothes, but then sometimes if you're, night, if you don't get it done in one day, if you need your bed that evening, so maybe a couch area or somewhere that you think will be a kind of a designated zone to go through the clothes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, great. And then, so that brings me on to the folding of the clothes. So Jen, you're going to give us a little demonstration.
Oh, yeah.
I have a pair of socks here, and I show you, like, so this is how I would sort of deal with my socks and then try and organize them, but that's not right, is it?
Yeah, no.
So you're going to show what is a much better way to deal with socks.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, actually, I need just someone to hold up here.
Okay. Fantastic.
So
Great.
I'll do the socks first then, will I, Denise?
Please, yeah, wonderful.
Okay, so like you said, I think most people store their socks, like you said, rolled up like this. But when socks are stored like this, it stretches out the fabric. Even the tops, here can get pulled, so they can kind of get loose and pull down.
Yeah.
So a much better way for, there's a couple of reasons for folding socks, and that's one. But for storage as well, they're kind of much easier to see and neater.
Fabulous. Yeah, love it.
So for folding socks, will I do the demonstration?
Please go ahead. I'm going to try and do it here myself with this. Yes, so go. Yeah.
So put the socks one on top of the other.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And then there's the heel here at the edge. There. Put that in so that you kind of get a rectangle shape, if you can see there.
Okay. Yeah.
And the tops of the sock at the toes. Fold that up. I think this is probably going to fold in 3 to fit the space.
Fit the space. Okay. Yeah.
So fold it up to the center, and then that will go in your box.
Amazing. Wow, that's great. Lovely.
I'll move on to jeans next.
Yeah, lovely. Please. Thank you.
Perfect. So just move that out of the way. So open them out. Like this, and actually your pants, for folding things like this, like t-shirts or any other clothing really, you need to use your palms to kind of get all the air out of the fabric, so it folds really neatly then. So with the jeans, you're going to fold them in half.
Okay.
Again, using your hands, spread out the air, or spread out the jeans and get rid of the air. Again, with jeans, like the socks, we have this kind of part sticking out like that. You want to make the shape of the rectangle again, so you fold that in like that, and then the ankle part folds right up to the top. So you can see there's a little gap I've left here, about 1 inch at the top, and then the jeans will probably fold up in about 3, so 1 or 2, maybe 2. And so the technique is they have to fold so that they can possibly stand up vertically, so that then when you put them in the storage space, they're really neat
and easy to see.
Yeah, and accessible. So
amazing. Okay.
I have a t-shirt as well. Will I go for it? Or?
Great. Yes, I've one here. I'm going to try along as you explain, Jen. Yeah.
Our kids' clothes, so you can see. So just spread it out there, Denise.
Yeah.
The sleeves as well, so that everything's flat. And then folding one side into the center, like that.
Okay.
Again, spreading out the palm of your hand, and folding the sleeve back in, just so it's neat then.
Yeah.
Then with the other side here, that into the center. So again, you're making that rectangle shape.
Okay.
And fold the sleeve back in so it's not sticking out. this again. And then you want the straight edges at the end. So you want from the top where the neck and sleeves are to come up towards the top again. Like
okay, so in half, yeah.
Yeah, and then this t-shirt will probably go in half. And then stand up.
Amazing. Mine is collapsing. But anyway, I will practice that, Jen.
Yeah. No,
I do mine on 3.
It will stand up in the storage. It doesn't have
It will stand up in storage.
It doesn't have to stand up. And
I
then
need to practice. Oh, wow.
The way to store things is having the lighter colours to the front and the
Okay.
darker items to the back. These are really helpful, actually, these boxes, for any shelving that you have.
Yeah.
Because the method, the KonMarie method says that most items should be folded. There's very little that gets hung up. So drawers are perfect for this. You know, you put your tops and your vests in the drawers standing up like this. Then you're going to need extra drawer space, possibly in wardrobes. That's like I was mentioning, from places like the Organized store. You can get like nice little neat compact drawers that fit under that.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's also shelving, and in our wardrobe there's shelving as well in the wardrobe, where these boxes are absolutely perfect to slide on flow shelves, and that kind of creates almost like a drawer storage space where you can store folded items.
Fabulous, yeah.
And then for items that are stored on shelves like that, there's it's kind of handy. We do this to label what's in the box. So
yes.
You have t-shirts or sportswear or anything like that.
So you can see it.
And you know what's in the box then.
No, wonderful. And actually the labels are something that you make. So you have the wonder labels, isn't that right? That people can customize.
Right, I'll just put you back down here. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Thanks so much, Jen. That was great. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, we do. That's right. On mylittlewonderful.com, we have wonder labels, which are labels for labeling items that you love, or items that children lose. So on our website, you can order those. You input your personal your name and your phone number online, and then we send out the labels to you. After a few days. And we also have custom labels for things like this, that if you wanted to label boxes that go on shelves and you wanted to customize them, you know, you wanted to put your own details in, you can do that too on our website. So
yeah. I have to say they're fabulous. I was meant to have something here to show everybody, but I've been using the wonder labels for a long time now, and you can put them in the washing machine, you can put them in the dishwasher, and honestly, like, they have saved water bottles and uniforms and everything else. So, you know, they're fabulous. So I'll share some stuff about that afterwards for everybody, Jen, and put the details up so they can see. But no, it's a great idea. And I love that idea of, you know, turning shelves into little drawers, just using the storage boxes. And then if they are labeled, it's so easy for everybody to find everything. So it's a great idea. Yeah. And actually, that was one of the other things I loved about Marie Kondo's book, was that she really advocates using what you have to store things. You know, so it's not about you have to go out and buy all these perfect things, because that can be a deterrent as well, because you think that's just going to cost a fortune, you know, so you postpone it. But you can use things like shoe boxes, or, you know, any kind of boxes really to store these things. So it's very easy to do yourself at home.
Yeah, no, definitely. And actually, the method does say as well that really you shouldn't really think about storage till you've kind of completely decluttered everything, you know. So like, that's what I do, especially in drawers. You don't really need to see if you can use shoe boxes. It doesn't need to be pretty. You're not going to see the edges. Actually, I use this in my drawer, and it's just a box that I got, you know, that just something was in and I just can use it. So reuse as much as you can. That really is important. And then when you get to the end of the process, you will find that you probably do need a couple of items for extra store. Not that you, because you're going to have less. So that's the thing. The process is over. You'll hopefully not have too much that you have to store. So. To
store, exactly. You know, and it's something we would advocate as well, is that, you know, it's designated storage. So you know, whatever you decide, or however you decide to store something, it should be based on what you're trying to store. So rather than just having a cupboard where you put everything, and then over time can never find anything, you know, by saying, well, that's for jumpers or that's for books or whatever it might be, or technology or whatever. It's a much better way of approaching it. So no, that's terrific.
Every single thing has a home, you know, where and I think that's really helpful in family life when
Absolutely.
you have designated areas and everybody knows, okay, that's where that goes, that's its home, especially for young children, you know, when you mention to them, like, where's the home for this, because you want them to, you want to encourage them now. Sometimes they're not great at doing it, but you know, you want to encourage them that this belongs there. And I know when you get to the end of all the categories, everything does have a home, and you do know where everything goes, and even your family knows where those places are, or you can label places as well to kind of remind them. But
no, but it is helpful because it's constantly, Mom, where's the, you know, so you want to foster a little bit of independence and free up a little bit more headspace for Mom. Yeah, no, it's great. I see a question there, Jen. Tips for storing jumpers.
Jumpers. Okay. Well, again, that's clothing. The method says to fold anything you can, like absolutely anything that's soft. That even includes bags. You know, if there's anything that's soft and material, so fold everything up. So jumpers go in the clothing category, and they fold very similar. Like a wool jumper would fold very similar to the t-shirt that I demonstrated there. Really, like, fold it up in the same way. If it's thick, it's fine. It just needs a bigger area to store it in, you know. It'll just take up a little bit more space in that area. But jumpers definitely fold. The only items I would say to hang are really heavy items like coats and suits maybe, or really delicate items like very delicate dresses or tops or things like that, you know, just something that just wouldn't fold.
You want to keep it hanging. Okay. No, it's great. And what's lovely as well, it's really, the method is really about caring for the clothes. You know, it's not just rolling them up and chucking them in a drawer. So, you know, stuff should last longer. There's so many benefits to it than just tidying up. So no, it's
they're not rolled in a ball anymore at the back of the closet.
Yeah. No, it's great. And then I one of my favorite lines from the book was her philosophy about papers, because I have to say it's the one thing that drives me crazy. They just tend to pile up, you know, and then you've lovely clean surfaces and suddenly there's papers. But something I've noticed just from working from home, and the difference from being in the office where my desk would be covered in papers, there's no paper, you know, so that's been amazing, that actually, do you know what, we can do without paper. It was just nearly a bad habit in a way, but there are still papers that come in. So what is the advice about storing paper and dealing with paper?
Well, Marie Kondo kind of has the attitude towards papers that you really just get rid of them all.
Get rid of it. It's ruthless. Yeah, no, I liked it. I have to say.
But I think, well, she knows too, that's impossible. I mean, you need some, you know, you need important documents and things like that. So she's just kind of saying, approach papers like get rid of them all. You can't get rid of them all. But so with papers, that's the thing with papers, like you mentioned, like it just, one comes in, it's narrow, it's thin, you know, you think, you know, I'll keep it, you know, it doesn't take up much space, I'll just leave it here. But like a magnet, just things pile up on top and you just are left with stacks of papers all around the place if you don't keep on top of them. The method, the best way to deal with papers with the KonMarie method is to divide them up into 3 categories and just declutter every single one with the intention of getting rid of everything. So the first it's like a subcategory. So the first subcategory would be things that you need to, like, pending items or things that need action. So it could be a wedding invitation, or, you know, something that comes into your life that you actually need to do something about.
To deal with,
exactly. So that's the first subcategory. Then the second subcategory is all those important documents that you can't get rid of, like receipts and insurance, tax stuff for your accountant, you know, all of those things need to be kept. So that's the important documents. So when you're sorting through all the papers that you have, that's the first category, the second category, and then the third category is, or the third subcategory is papers that spark joy. So these could be things like possibly you did an interior design course and you had course materials for that, or recipes, or the
kids artworks or stuff the kids have done or things like that.
This all goes in the sentimental category, but I rarely deal with kids art. Like, so my two little ones are really creative and they're drawing all the time, so there's a lot of piles of paper around of their art. So how I deal with that is I collect them all up over the course of a few weeks and put them in a bag or a container in one spot in the dresser, and then I go through them after like maybe a month or so and just pick out the ones that I might want to keep, and then they actually go in the sentimental category. So them in a separate category to the paper category. Even though I did say the third category is papers that spark joy, they wouldn't be stored in the paper category of the
I see. Okay, they're sentimental. I understand. Because yes, you'll keep them for a very long time, possibly.
Exactly. So actually, for a sentimental art like that, I think a really handy way to store that in your sentimental area in your home is in like maybe monthly in a fan folder is a good idea, and by month, and always put your child's name on the back and the date.
Otherwise you won't know.
Because they just do so much art that I just never know who did what, so it's just it'd be handy when you're going back through it over the years.
No, absolutely. No, that's wonderful. Great. Brilliant. Okay. And then something we didn't talk about, but books, because I had, and I know, Jen, I didn't discuss this with you in advance, but just we had a lot of questions last week in particular about books and storing books. And again, that's another category where there's books everywhere from the kitchen to, so what's your advice for people with storing books and keeping books? And especially like we'd one lady said that she'd 4 children, all of whom absolutely love to read, which is incredible, so something she really wants to keep going, but she wanted to keep the books that the older children are reading for the younger children. And she said the collection was just growing at a rate she couldn't keep up with. So what would the advice be there?
Well, with books, same thing. You need to do the same thing like with clothing. In every category, you need to just take everything out and pile it in one spot. And like you were saying there, books can be, again, all over the house. You can have recipe books in the kitchen and other books in the office, and it's just all around the place. Fiction books in bedrooms. And the important thing to mention here that I didn't say already is everybody has to decide what sparks joy for them. So you can't really decide on your children's books. They need to decide. And if you want to keep them all because you want to pass them down, then that's fine. You don't, then you do that. So with books, you pile them up. And I would pile them up in categories. So they could be fiction, non-fiction, books for work, things like that, all piled up. And again, with books, you can't just look at them. You have to pick them up. You might think, oh yeah, I'll just look at that. And if I think, oh no, I'm not going to keep that, I'll just put it aside. But you actually need to pick up every single book and hold it and see, does it spark joy? And are you going to keep it? And if you are going to keep it, put it in a category. Try and store all the books in subcategories together. So recipe books go together, fiction books go together, non-fiction, and then the items that don't spark joy, they go in the discard pile over to the secondhand bookshop or wherever.
Okay, no, fantastic. And it's a lovely exercise to do as well, because I know anytime you clear out a kid's room in particular, that there's this lovely sort of discovery of all the things they've forgotten that they have. And, that there is so much stuff, and it's just so easy to go and buy new stuff. So actually just, taking stock of what's there, it's fantastic. And it's brilliant. Wonderful. And then Jen, we've taken up so much of your time, and you're a very busy lady, I know, but just to finish then on the sort of magic of tidying up, which is part of the title of the book. And, over the last few months, like we have touched on this with the neuroscientist Michael Keane, just the whole science behind decluttering and tidying up. And you mentioned it at the very beginning when you first did your apartment and how it made you feel. So
Yes.
What is that? Can you explain any of that? Or what have you seen with your clients, or, you know, the reaction to how life-changing, I suppose, it can be?
Well, with my clients, I think the main thing they feel afterwards, I hope, is that they feel just lighter and happier, you know, that they've just more space in their homes. But for me, I think when I did the method, it kind of came in two parts. So you know, there's a feeling you get when your whole home is completely decluttered, organized, and everything sparks joy, so you either absolutely love everything or you absolutely need everything. That's kind of the spark joy thing goes into kind of two separate categories. So when I finished decluttering and finished the method on my home, I remember just feeling I felt calmer, I felt happier. There was feelings involved, but it was also in my head, like the clear space kind of led to a clear mind. And that really, especially in day-to-day life with young children, you know, you were better at problem solving, you were better at just doing logical things, you know, you weren't just forgetful, you remembered to sign the form that you were supposed to sign for the school, whatever. And it was really helpful for both your body and your mind. It's nearly I nearly would kind of compare it to exercising or meditation. You know, that feeling you get after you do both of those things. It's just your body feels relaxed, but also your head. It just kind of touches both.
No, but it's interesting because that's what Michael Keane would have said, that it's without you even knowing, having a lot of clutter around is triggering your brain and telling you, I have to deal with all this stuff. So even though you don't intend to deal with it there and then, it is causing stress. It's stressing you out without you even knowing. And over time, that really builds up, and it, you know, leads to arguments, leads to just stress and not feeling great. So by eliminating all of that, you're eliminating stress essentially, which is fantastic.
Definitely.
No, wonderful. Well, Jen, thank you so much. Everybody, please check out the fabulous website. I'll put it up on the stories as well, and I'll show some of the labels, and do take a look at Jen's blog, mylittlewonderful.com. And Jen, thank you so much. I'm going to go practice my folding now and make sure everything is put away properly. And anybody who wants to share their attempts or decluttering, please do share them with us, because we do love to see it. But Jen, thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend, and take care. Okay. Take care, bye, everybody. Bye. 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 Bye.